My wife told me I didn't marry you for your personality when I lost my job, and I am still processing what 12 years of marriage actually meant to her. Okay, so this happened 3 weeks ago, and I am still trying to wrap my head around it. I am 38, just got laid off from my tech job after 8 years, and my wife Emily, well, let me just say her reaction wasn't exactly what I expected from someone who is supposed to be my partner. Look, I need to get this out because it is eating me alive. For 12 years, I have been the sole breadwinner, software engineer making around $150K, while Emily stayed home with our kids Jacob and Lily. She picked up a part-time marketing gig recently that brings in maybe $4,500 a month, but that has always been her money for personal stuff. Never questioned it. I was proud to provide everything: mortgage, private school tuition, family vacations, her car payments, all of it. When I got laid off in January, I actually felt relieved. I know that sounds crazy, but I had solid savings built up and thought this might be a chance to reset, spend more time with the kids, maybe find something even better instead of jumping at the first offer. Emily seemed calm about it initially, supportive even, but here is where everything went sideways. After about 2 months of me being selective about job opportunities, Emily started getting restless. She would make these little comments about how I should just take anything, even if it meant cutting my salary in half. When I explained that I wanted to find the right fit rather than panic, she got frustrated. Then last month, we were having dinner with her parents, and she just let loose. Started complaining about how I was being too picky and sitting around doing nothing while she had to worry about money. Her dad actually looked uncomfortable. But the part that really got me was when her mom asked if maybe this was temporary and I would find something soon. That is when Emily said it. I didn't marry Daniel for his personality. I married him because he could provide for our family, and right now, he is not doing that. The table went dead silent. Her parents looked mortified. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. 12 years. 12 years of putting her and the kids first, never questioning where her paycheck went, working overtime to afford everything she wanted, and apparently, my worth as a husband was just my bank account. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. And I am not ashamed to admit I had to sit there for 10 minutes, trying not to lose it completely. When I came back, Emily was already moving on to other topics like nothing happened. We drove home in silence. I tried to bring it up later, but she just said she was stressed about money and that I was reading too much into it. But guys, how do you read too much into someone telling you they only married you for financial security? The thing is, I am not even broke. I have got enough savings to last us another 6 months easily. But apparently, the fact that I am not actively earning right now means I am failing as a husband. I have been sleeping in the guest room for 3 weeks. Every time I look at her, I hear those words again. I didn't marry you for your personality. Like 12 years of partnership, of building a life together, of being there through her difficult pregnancy with Lily, through her mom's cancer scare, through everything. None of that mattered. I was just a paycheck with legs. Am I overreacting? I mean, people say things when they are stressed, right? But this felt different. This felt like she was finally being honest about what our marriage really is. I love my kids more than anything, but I don't know how to move forward with someone who just told me I am only valuable for my earning potential. How do you come back from that, Reddit? I am lost. Have any of you dealt with something like this? How do you rebuild trust when you realize your partner might have never seen you as more than a provider? Update 1. Hey Reddit. So I posted about 6 weeks ago about my wife Emily telling her parents she only married me for financial security, not my personality. A lot of you said I should dig deeper into how she really sees our relationship and, well, you were right. What I discovered has completely changed how I view the last 12 years. After that dinner with her parents, things got worse before they got better. Emily doubled down on pressuring me to take any job, regardless of pay or fit. She started reaching out to my family, calling my parents, my sister, even my brother-in-law, complaining about how I was refusing to work and putting financial stress on the family. Imagine finding out your wife is telling everyone in your life that you are lazy and irresponsible, when you are literally just being strategic about your career. My mom called me worried, asking if everything was okay financially. My sister texted asking if I needed help with groceries. It was humiliating. But here is what really opened my eyes. I started thinking about our entire relationship through this new lens, and patterns emerged that I would somehow missed or justified away. When we first got married, Emily quit her job within 6 months. Said she wanted to focus on building our home together. I was 26, making decent money, and thought it was sweet that she wanted to make our marriage her priority. Looking back, I realized she immediately positioned herself as the person who managed our domestic life while I handled all financial responsibility. When Jacob was born, it made sense for her to stay home. But even after both kids were in school full-time, she resisted going back to work. Always had reasons, wanted to be available for school pickup, couldn't find anything that paid enough to justify childcare, needed to focus on the house projects. I supported every decision because I loved that she was so dedicated to our family. The part-time marketing job she finally took, it happened because her friend offered it to her, basically handed it to her on a silver platter. And from day one, that money was hers. Never contributed to mortgage, utilities, groceries, nothing. She would spend it on clothes, spa days, girls' trips. Again, I never questioned it because I could afford everything, and I wanted her to have some independence. But now, I am seeing it differently. For 12 years, I have carried 100% of our financial responsibilities while she has had complete freedom with her income. And the second my income stopped, even temporarily, I became the problem. Here is the part that really stings, though. I started remembering conversations we had had over the years about other couples we knew. When her friend Sarah got divorced, Emily's immediate reaction wasn't sympathy. It was panic about how Sarah would survive financially. When my coworker Mark took a pay cut to switch to a job he actually enjoyed, Emily couldn't understand why his wife was supportive. She kept saying things like, "I could never be with someone who didn't prioritize providing for his family." I thought she was just practical. Now I realize she was telling me exactly how she viewed marriage as a financial arrangement where the man's primary value is his earning capacity. The breaking point came 2 weeks ago. I have been getting some good interview responses, and I mentioned to Emily that one opportunity was really exciting but would mean about a $20K pay cut initially, with room to grow. Her response? "Daniel, we have a lifestyle to maintain. You cannot just chase dreams when you have real responsibilities." That is when it hit me. I am not her husband. I am her financial plan. And when the plan got disrupted, even temporarily, she didn't see a partner going through a challenging time. She saw a malfunctioning ATM that needed to be fixed as quickly as possible. I have been documenting everything now, keeping track of conversations, saving texts where she pressures me about jobs or complains to family. I don't know why exactly, maybe for my own sanity. Maybe because deep down I am preparing for something I don't want to admit yet. The job search is going well. By the way, I should have an offer within the next 2 weeks. But the damage is done. Even when I am back to earning, I will never be able to forget what I learned about how my wife sees me. Some of you asked about counseling in the last post. I brought it up, and Emily said we don't need to waste money on therapy when the real issue is just me needing to get back to work. That told me everything I needed to know about whether she thinks there is anything wrong with our relationship dynamic. I am trying to hold it together for Jacob and Lily, but I feel like I am grieving the marriage I thought I had. Turns out, it never existed in the first place. More updates coming as this situation develops. Thanks for listening, Reddit. You have been more supportive than my actual family right now. Update to Reddit. I am back with what might be my final update on this situation. For those just joining, my wife told me she only married me for financial security when I was temporarily unemployed, and I have been discovering just how transactional our entire relationship has been. I got a job offer. Actually, a great one, $160K, which is more than I was making before the layoff. You would think this would fix everything, right? That Emily would be relieved and we could move past this rough patch. Yeah, that is not how it went down. When I told her about the offer, her first reaction was relief. But not relief that I was happy or that we had weathered this challenge together. Relief that her financial security was restored. She literally said, "Thank goodness. Now things can go back to normal." But here is the thing for me. Nothing can go back to normal. Because during those 5 months of unemployment, I saw who my wife really is when the money stops flowing. And it wasn't pretty. Let me tell you about the final conversation that ended our marriage. At least, emotionally. This happened last week, after I had accepted the job, but before I started, I tried one more time to address what happened, to see if we could work through this. I sat Emily down and said I needed us to talk about the things she said during my unemployment and how they made me feel. Her response, Daniel, "You are being dramatic. I was stressed about money, and I said some things I didn't mean. But you have a job now. So why are we still talking about this?" I explained that her reaction showed me she only values me as a provider, not as a person or partner. That 12 years of marriage should have earned me more support during a temporary setback. And that is when she said the words that ended everything for me. "But providing is your job as a husband. That is what men do. I take care of the house and kids. You take care of the money when you stopped doing your part." Of course, I was upset. I asked her what would happen if I got sick, or injured, or lost my job again. What if I couldn't be the provider anymore? She actually thought about it for a minute, then said, "I guess we would figure something out, but Daniel, that is not going to happen. You are good at your job." "But what if it did?" I pressed. She got irritated. "Why are you asking hypothetical questions? You have a job now. This conversation is pointless." That is when I realized she couldn't even conceive of a version of our marriage where I wasn't primarily valuable for my earning potential. In her mind, a husband who cannot provide isn't really a husband at all. I have spent 5 months having my self-worth attacked. My family turned against me, and my role as a partner reduced to nothing more than a bank account. And now that the crisis is over, Emily expects me to just forget it happened and go back to being her personal ATM. But I cannot forget. Every morning when I wake up next to her, I remember that when I needed her most, she kicked me while I was down. Every time she spends money on something for herself, I think about how she refused to contribute her income when we needed it but demanded I take any job, even one that would make me miserable. The worst part is the kids. Jacob asked me why mommy and daddy don't talk much anymore. How do you explain to a 9-year-old that his parents' marriage was built on a foundation that crumbled the moment daddy's paycheck stopped coming in? I am seeing a lawyer next week. Not because I want a divorce, but because I need to understand my options. I need to know what life would look like if I stopped pretending this marriage is something it never was. Emily has no idea. She thinks everything is fine now because I am employed again. She is already planning our summer vacation, talking about private school options for next year, making all the same assumptions about my money that she has been making for 12 years. But I am done being someone's financial plan. I am done being valued only for what I can provide, not for who I am. I spent 12 years being a husband, a father, a partner, a best friend, a supporter through every challenge she faced. And when I faced my first real challenge, I discovered that none of that mattered to her. Only the money mattered. Some of you warned me in earlier posts that this kind of revelation changes everything permanently. You were right. I cannot go back to the way things were because I now know the way things were was never real. I start the new job on Monday. Emily thinks this means our problems are solved. But for me, it is just the beginning of figuring out what comes next. Thanks for all your support, Reddit. This community has shown me more understanding and empathy than my wife did during the hardest time in my adult life. That says everything I need to know about where I stand. Final update: this is probably my last post about this situation, and I wanted to give you closure on what has been an incredibly difficult year. I filed for divorce 2 weeks ago. Emily was completely blindsided, which tells you everything you need to know about how differently we have been experiencing our marriage. When I served her the papers, her first words weren't about our relationship or our kids, or even asking why. They were, "But you just got a good job again. Why would you do this now?" Even in that moment, facing the end of our 12-year marriage, her primary concern was the financial implications, not the emotional ones, not what went wrong between us. Just the money. I tried to explain one last time. I told her that her reaction to my unemployment showed me she never saw me as a full partner, just as a provider. That when I needed support, she gave me ultimatums. That when I needed understanding, she complained about me to everyone we know. Her response: "Daniel, you are throwing away a good marriage because you cannot handle that I was stressed about money for a few months." A few months. 5 months of my self-worth being attacked. Of being treated like a failure for being strategic about my career. Of having my value as a husband reduced to my bank balance. And she calls it a few months of stress. But here is what really sealed it for me. During our separation discussion, I suggested we try counseling one more time. She agreed, but only if I paid for it. When I pointed out that she has her own income, she said, "My money is for my personal expenses. Counseling would be for both of us. So that is your responsibility." 12 years. 12 years of marriage, and she still couldn't conceive of our problems being something she should invest in solving. Even saving our relationship was my financial responsibility, not our shared one. The divorce process has been enlightening in the worst way. Emily's lawyer is arguing for maximum spousal support because she sacrificed her career for the family. My lawyer pointed out that she has been capable of working this whole time and chose not to, and that her reaction to my temporary unemployment shows she was never actually dependent. She was just comfortable letting me handle everything. Emily told the mediator that she shouldn't be punished financially for marrying someone who agreed to be the provider. Like even now, even facing divorce, she sees our marriage as a contract where I provide money, and she, exists, benefits, takes. The kids are struggling, obviously. Jacob keeps asking if Daddy is moving out because he doesn't love Mommy anymore. How do you explain to a child that you loved Mommy very much, but Mommy only loved what Daddy could buy for her? I have been honest with them in age-appropriate ways. I told them that sometimes grown-ups realize they want different things from marriage, and that this doesn't change how much both parents love them. Jacob seemed to accept that, but Lily keeps asking if we will still be a family. We will be, just a different kind of family. The hardest part has been the reactions from people who knew us. Emily's been telling everyone that I abandoned the family over a few months of unemployment stress, that I am destroying our children's lives over hurt feelings, that she was just being practical about money, and I couldn't handle it. Some people believe her version. They see a man who threw away a stable marriage because his ego got bruised when his wife worried about finances. They don't understand that this was never about ego or hurt feelings. This was about discovering that the person I thought knew me best, loved me most, valued me as a complete human being, actually only valued me for my earning capacity. And when that capacity was temporarily interrupted, she didn't see a husband going through a difficult time. She saw a broken ATM that needed to be fixed or replaced. But some people get it. My brother told me he had noticed for years how Emily talked about money, how she seemed to view my income as her entitlement, rather than our shared resource. My sister said she always thought it was weird how Emily never contributed financially but had such strong opinions about how I should earn. Even my dad, who usually stays out of these things, said something that stuck with me, "Son, a good woman stands by her man when times get tough. She doesn't kick him when he is down." I am not saying Emily is evil or that she consciously set out to use me. I think she genuinely believed that marriage is supposed to be this way: man provides, woman benefits. But when I needed her to see me as more than a provider, she couldn't do it. When I needed her to be a true partner, she didn't know how. The new job is going great. By the way, I am happier at work than I have been in years, partly because I took the time to find the right fit instead of panicking into the first offer. Ironic, considering that patient approach is what caused our marriage to implode. I am also happier at home, which surprised me. The house is quieter, but it is peaceful instead of tense. I don't wake up every morning wondering if today's the day Emily will make another comment about my value being tied to my paycheck. I don't have to watch her spend money on herself while lecturing me about financial responsibility. I cook dinner for the kids on my custody nights, and we actually talk about school, about their friends, about movies and books and dreams. When I was married to Emily, family dinners were mostly her talking about expenses or complaining about something I wasn't doing right. Financially, my lawyer thinks we will have everything settled within 6 months. Emily will get some spousal support for a few years, enough time to build up her work to full-time or find something better. She is furious about having to actually support herself, but that is not my problem anymore. The house will be sold. I am getting an apartment nearby so the kids can stay in the same school district. It is smaller than what we had, but it is mine. Every bill I pay is for something I chose, not something I was expected to provide for someone who saw me as an obligation rather than a partner. To anyone reading this who sees themselves in my story, pay attention to how your partner reacts when you are vulnerable. Do they support you, or do they attack you? Do they see temporary setbacks as challenges to face together? or as failures on your part that need to be fixed immediately? Most importantly, when you are going through something difficult, does your partner make it easier or harder? Do they build you up or tear you down? Do they remind you of your worth as a person? Or do they remind you that your worth is conditional? I gave Emily 12 years of my life. My best earning years. My complete devotion and financial support. I asked for nothing in return, except to be seen as more than a paycheck. And when I needed that most, I learned she couldn't give it to me. I don't regret the marriage because it gave me Jacob and Lily, who are the best parts of my life. But I regret staying with someone who never saw me as a whole person, just a financial resource. I am 39 now, starting over. But I am starting over as myself, not as someone's ATM. And for the first time in 12 years, that feels like enough. Thanks, Reddit. You helped me realize I wasn't crazy, I wasn't wrong, and I wasn't asking for too much. Sometimes, that is all someone needs to find the courage to choose themselves. The ATM is officially closed for business.